Welcome. Today we're going to discuss the technique clipping the storm and some of the different ways in which we can relate it to other elements of the American Kenpo system. Now keep in mind two things. This is not a full comprehensive list and it's not family groupings. So rather, it's just different avenues or ways that you can explore to understand the American Kenpo system a little bit better. So if you notice, we don't have a storm. So how are we going to do clipping the storm? Well, because we're not going to be relating it to the obvious, the weapon, but rather some of the interesting things that can be found in the technique. In this case, the end of the technique, which is also known as a standard extension. So the way to think about a standard extension is that it's just a series of maneuvers that you can easily add to other places of the system through position recognition. But the reason we're doing it in this case is for the strategic recognition. So let's actually get into the technique so I can explain that a little bit better. So if we get to the end of the technique, if you notice what we've done is we've used our major hand. And we want to use it again to strike this opponent, but they're too close. So we could try to cock the hand and hit them from here, or we could do our strategy. We're going to gauge the opponent to put them where we want so that we can hit them with our major weapon. In this case, through a right knee and a left hand. We're going to do the hand sword and the knee so they can be at the proper gauge so that we can deliver that hand. So again, the strategy is to gauge our opponent properly, put them where we want them to be, so that we can effectively hit them with our major. But if you notice, let's take this into something like darting mace. We're doing the exact same thing. But both of these techniques have the standard extension built into them. So if you notice, this is part of the technique. We're doing the standard extension in the technique. So can we do it in a technique that is not part of the technique? Well, absolutely. If we move this into something like parting wings, you can see that once we get to our ending of parting wings, this is where we can add that standard extension. But again, notice why we're doing it. For the same strategy. Moving the opponent away so we can put them where we want so we can hit them with our major. But is that the only way we can do that standard extension? Well, actually, we can do the reverse. So rather than pushing them away, we can pull them in. So if we did something like glancing salute, if you notice what we're doing, again, our right hand is occupied and we want to hit them with it. So now, rather than pushing them away with the left, we're going to be pulling them towards us with the right as we do that knee to control the gauge so that we can now use our major. But rather than doing the heel pump, we're going to be changing it to the short range weapon because we're keeping the gauge close. So if you notice, we went from pushing them away to pulling them close. So can we do a different way? Well, if we look at something like thrusting prongs, we sure can. The idea here is that we're going to use our left hand now to control him in place. I want to keep him where he is. We're not getting him closer. We're not pushing him away. He's already at the range that we want. So we control his gauge and then be able to deliver our strikes effectively. But the interesting to notice about all these techniques is that they were all done controlling their depth zone. So can we do it controlling their height zone? Well, absolutely. If we take a look at something like the end of thrusting lance, we are now using the left leg and the left hand to control their gauge vertically. Why? Well, our strategy, so that we can now use our majors to start delivering those strikes. But if you notice, just like we're doing this downward with the hand, we could also be doing it upward with the knee. So the gauge was done with the left and the left to get them to bend so that we can use our majors, in this case, the right hand and then the right knee. The interesting thing to keep in mind is that our techniques are designed to show us the long versions, or in this case, the different options. We could have just as easily done only the hand. We could have only done the leg. But again, the technique is showing you both. And keep in mind that you could also done them together, which is what we're going to do next. We're going to move this to one more technique. We take a look at something like locked wing, where we're now controlling their height zone yet again, but now doing the gauging by us moving away and keeping them where they are. Kind of like what we did in thrusting prongs, but the opposite. And now showing you how to do that upward and downward simultaneous on that vertical. And again, just like the previous technique, the timing on this can be changed to only the hand, only the foot, or one followed by the other. So the way in which we just related clipping the storm to other elements of the American Kenpo system was through that standard extension, specifically for the strategic recognition. We hope this video helps you understand the American Kenpo system a little bit better. Thank you very much.